Imagine a world where football wasn't the biggest sport on earth. No global superstars. No packed stadiums watched by billions. No worldwide football culture. In the 1950s, football was growing, but it still needed a hero who could carry it beyond borders and languages. Then, from the streets of Brazil, a teenager appeared. His name was Pele. When most young players dreamed of simply reaching the professional level, Pele was already changing the future of the game. At just 17 years old, he stepped onto the world's biggest stage and played without fear. Defenders couldn't stop him. Crowds couldn't believe him. The football world had never seen anything quite like him. But what made Pele special wasn't just the goals. It was the joy. Every touch, every dribble, every celebration reminded people why they loved football. Children copied his moves. Nations followed his matches. The game suddenly felt bigger than ever before. Football needed someone who could unite the world around a single ball. And Pele became that person. He wasn't just a champion. He became football's first global ambassador. A player who transformed a sport into a worldwide passion. Long before social media and the internet connected the world, Pele did it with football. And that's why his era needed him. Because football wasn't simply looking for a star. It was looking for its first king. By the 1980s, football had become global. But the game was becoming predictable, structured, organized, controlled. Then came Diego Maradona, and suddenly, nothing felt predictable anymore. Maradona wasn't the tallest player. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the fastest. Yet somehow, he could do things nobody else could imagine. When he received the ball, defenders became obstacles in a story that already had an ending. He danced through entire teams. He turned impossible situations into unforgettable moments. And he carried the hopes of millions every time he stepped onto the field. His football wasn't neat. It wasn't perfect. It was emotional, raw, explosive. Exactly what his era needed. People didn't watch Maradona because they knew what would happen. They watched because nobody knew what would happen next. One touch could create magic. One run could become history. One moment could live forever. Maradona represented every dreamer who had ever been told something was impossible. He played with passion instead of fear, with instinct instead of calculation. And that is why football loved him. Because while others played the game, Maradona challenged its limits. His era needed a rebel, a genius, a force of nature. And football found all three in one man. Zidane, the era of elegance. As football entered a new century, the game was becoming faster than ever. Players ran harder, matches became more intense. Pressure grew heavier with every passing season. Football was evolving. But in the middle of all that speed and chaos, one man seemed to exist in a different world. Zinedine Zidane. While others rushed, Zidane slowed everything down. When defenders charged toward him, he never panicked. When millions watched, he never seemed nervous. It was as if time itself moved differently around him. The ball obeyed his every touch. Every pass had purpose. Every turn carried elegance. Every movement felt effortless. Football had seen great players before, but Zidane brought something rare. Peace. In the most intense moments, he remained calm. In the loudest stadiums, he remained silent. His era needed a player who could prove that intelligence and composure were just as powerful as speed and strength. And Zidane became that player. He transformed football into art. Not through tricks, not through power, but through mastery. His era wasn't defined by chaos. It was defined by the man who controlled it. Ronaldo, the era of obsession. Football was changing again. The game was becoming faster, stronger, more competitive. Talent alone was no longer enough. The modern era demanded something more. And then Cristiano Ronaldo arrived. At first, People saw a gifted young player with incredible skill. But Ronaldo saw something different. Potential. He refused to accept limits. Every year he trained harder. Every season he improved. Every challenge became fuel. While others celebrated success, Ronaldo chased the next level, the next record, the next goal, the next trophy. His story was not about natural talent alone. It was about relentless improvement. Millions of players dreamed of greatness. Ronaldo worked for it. Day after day, year after year, he transformed discipline into a weapon, fitness into an advantage, dedication into an identity. Soon, he wasn't just competing against opponents. He was competing against history itself. Football needed proof that greatness could be built through determination, that success wasn't reserved only for the naturally gifted. Ronaldo became that proof. His era wasn't defined by comfort. It was defined by ambition. And no player embodied ambition more than Cristiano Ronaldo. He didn't simply play football. He raised the standard of what footballers believed was possible. Messi, the era of genius. As football grew faster and more physical, many believed the future belonged to power, to speed, to athletic dominance. Then Lionel Messi changed the conversation. He wasn't the tallest player. He wasn't the strongest. He rarely shouted. He rarely demanded attention. Yet every time he touched the ball, the world stopped watching the game and started watching him. Messi saw football differently. Before defenders moved, he already knew where they would go. Before a pass appeared, he had already imagined it. What looked impossible to others seemed obvious to him. He didn't overpower opponents. He outthought them. His dribbles weren't just skill. They were solutions. His passes weren't just accurate. They were visionary. Every movement carried purpose. Every decision carried intelligence. Football had entered an era obsessed with physical perfection. But Messi reminded the world of something important. The game's greatest weapon is still the mind. Creativity, vision, imagination. Those qualities could still conquer any defense. His era needed a player who could turn football into pure genius. And Messi became that player. Not because he was the loudest, not because he was the strongest, but because he understood football in a way few humans ever have. His era wasn't defined by power, it was defined by brilliance. And Lionel Messi became its greatest artist.